Welcome to Nice and Blunt. My name is Adam Mariancho, and it's time for another draft. It is Friday, July 12th, 2:30 p.m. We have a dental appointment on our hands. Let's go. If you are new to the channel and don't know what we're doing, we are drafting on Underdog. We're entering into the Fast Puppy today $5 tournament, 20-second pick clock. I will not be doing the Slow Puppy. That's an 8-hour pick clock, and I'm not interested for the purposes of the live stream. But you can max this out with 150 entries. If you do advance to the playoffs, you would have to finish top 2 out of 12 in your group. Then you got to finish first out of 10 in week 15. Week 16, you got to finish first out of 10 to advance to the finals, where if you do make the 375 seat final, it appears you bring home $750. It goes up from there. If you do finish first, $200K, but that's not going to happen. I will be finishing first. So we are going to join this draft. And if you want to hop in with me, there is a 6-second delay. So hit the button right now, and I will join in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vámonos. 4 spots left. We will be starting very shortly. But fight me. Good to see you in the chat. We are indeed back at it. Very exciting. Happy to be back. It's been a couple days. Posted our top 10 wide receiver rankings yesterday, and it looks like we have pick 11. We have pick 11 for this draft. So, not the end of the world. Could be better. Ideally, you have a top 5, top 6 pick, but at pick 11, we can always make stuff happen. It will be okay. Do I have everything right? Yeah, it looks like the settings are looking good. We can see the entire board on the screen. And we are rolling. So, just a matter of time before the picks start rolling in. But looking forward to drafting this team, and I'm looking forward to the season, man. We're like 50, almost 2 months away, a little under 2 months, and it could not come fast enough. But I am not looking forward to jury duty I have in 2 weeks, a little under 2 weeks, and that's going to suck. But August should be back to full speed. We'll be posting videos multiple times a week, probably even more than our current rate. But it seems to be somewhat official. I feel like CeeDee Lamb in every draft I've been doing the last few days is officially going at pick 1 above Christian McCaffrey. I think that is ultimately the right decision. When you have pick 1 on Underdog here, you got to wait 22 picks for your next selection. It's just hard to come back from that at the wide receiver position. You get really buried when you go CMC at number 1. And I'm not worried about the contract holdout. I think CeeDee Lamb will play. I think you should be taking him at number 1 above Christian McCaffrey. But I'm hoping I get A.J. Brown here. I would really be happy with A.J. Brown. We don't get him. We get Garrett Wilson. That's fine. That is perfectly fine. Just need Rodgers to stay healthy. That's not something you have to say. With A.J. Brown's quarterback, you know Jalen Hurts will most likely be healthy. If I was following my rankings at receiver, I would be taking Brandon Ayuk, but I think I am going to grab the slightly unique build, and I think I'm just going to go with my highest ranked running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, in a tier above Ayuk. See him almost identically to Jonathan Taylor, but it's a lot more likely you have a Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor start than a Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs. It's not the most unique situation, but I'm comfortable with it. And I've also found that like at pick 35, 38, I'm rarely getting the running back value that I was getting a few weeks ago. I feel like Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams just are not safe bets to make it back around to me. So I'm just going to grab my elite running back. I don't think I'm going to regret it. There are a lot of receiver values that go off the board between now and pick 35, but we can make up some ground at that position. I think we can go double wide receiver, maybe grab a quarterback or tight end around the next turn, and I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be fine. So Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs is our start, and so far the only unique decision of the picks so far. Everything was pretty much chalk, but Puka did go over AJ Brown. And if you rewind like 2 weeks ago, that's what it was before AJ took over that 9 pick. But Taylor, after our Gibbs selection, Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins, Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Adams, Saquon, Mike Evans. This is a very typical start. Nothing too crazy for any of these teams. Team 12 does double tap receiver Marvin Harrison, Drake London. And there's definitely upside, but I feel like the only reason these guys are going so high is because we just don't know what's going to happen. The enticing option of assuming London's going to take that massive leap with Kirk Cousins and Marvin in his rookie season, just so expensive in terms of price. I did not rank either of them inside my top 10 receivers. I ranked Ayuk and Nico Collins above them, but spoiler alert, I have them in the same tier. I do view them as top 15 players, but where exactly do I rank them? You will find out next week. Anything weird? Debo falls a little bit, but not like crazy. There's Derrick Henry off the board, pick 30. Tank Dell goes to the Nico Collins team. Diggs is still on the board. But if somehow, some way, Kyron Williams falls to me at pick 35, I will definitely take him. I would be very interested in that start. It does not happen. Kyron goes pick 32. Josh Allen gets taken. Pickens. Okay. I'm going to grab Michael Pittman. Maybe set us up for a Anthony Richardson stack later on. We also have... Oh, no, we took Jahmyr Gibbs, not Jonathan Taylor. So, never mind. No Jonathan Taylor on this team. But, not in love with receiver. Not going to see the same type of tight end coming back around. And we do have Jahmyr Gibbs. This opens us up for a Jared Goff approach. So we're going to grab another Detroit Lion here. We have Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Michael Pittman Jr., and Sam Laporta. Interesting start to kick it off. So this is possibly a Richardson, Jared Goff team. I'd feel really comfortable with those two quarterbacks. I actually did that in, I want to say, the Hound Dog a few days ago, and I wasn't planning on it. I don't think I had Goff stacked up with Laporta. I think I just had Jahmyr Gibbs, but I ended up taking Richardson around like 58, 63. I don't remember. But what I do remember is I wasn't planning to grab Jared Goff, but he fell like crazy. I got Jared Goff at pick 159. It was like insane value. He fell to around 14, 159. He normally goes like 125. He fell like 30 plus picks. I was shocked. And I passed up on him like a couple times in order to get him that late. So hard to beat that value. That is in a different tournament, though. Benjamin is asking, am I not a Higgins fan? Not like crazy. I think there were some concerning stats for Higgins last year, some weird games. The vibes with him and the Bengals are a little bit off. He is in a contract season given the franchise tag, but he was also in a contract season last year and he did not play very well. I do think he's worth a fourth round pick. I'm not going to fault you if you do take him, but I think passing up on an elite tight end for T. Higgins is not my preference. I think Laporta, Kelsey are a little bit more valuable straight up. I think that is a better pick, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong, but Higgins was a big disappointment last year. He was going in round 2, around the 2-3 turn, and he fell for a reason. But I feel like the round 4 receivers, I prefer George Pickens and Amari Cooper, and then I have T. Higgins. But I do think everyone from like Tank Dell here that went off the board through Amari Cooper are all in the same tier. So it's justified to take him there at the top of the 4th round. But with Laporta on the board with a chance for us to double tap Lions, I would rather do that. Richardson goes, so we will not be getting Anthony Richardson. That's okay. But I'm not expecting Dalton Kincaid to fall. That would shock me. But Jaden Reed, not my favorite pick. I wish he was going a little bit later. I wish he was more in like the 6th round, a little closer to Christian Watson. Just because there's so many weapons, so many mouths to feed in Green Bay. This is a little high of a price tag to pay on Chris Godwin. I mean, Jaden Reed. But I think I'm probably going to go with Chris Godwin, who had 131 targets last year. Expected to be moving into the slot more this season. And not too many receivers I'm like dying to grab here. But there's definitely a massive amount of target volume headed for him. Guaranteed to go over 1,000 yards. That's what he's done the last 2 seasons. But touchdowns, if they were to regress back to league average, if he put up 7, 8 touchdowns this year, he would be absolutely worth this ADP. So we take him at pick 59. If all the touchdowns go back to Mike Evans, I may regret it, but I'm fine with this value. I would like Jordan Addison, but he goes off the board. And as much as I kind of like running back here, I think there is good value. You can definitely talk yourself into it. I just know I can't replicate the wide receiver talent in the next round, whereas running back values are always on the board. So I'm going to take Rome Odunze. We already have a tight end. I'm not going to grab Kyle Pitts. I can't justify a CJ Stroud selection. I have no Texans, and his ADP has been falling. I've seen Stroud go in the 7th round quite often. So I'm going to grab a rookie here. We have some more vets on our team, and Odunze is a player I really like. I think Odunze may actually be a better pick straight up than Keenan Allen, who goes a full round ahead. I think if you want to invest in the Bears pass catchers, my favorite way to do it is with Rome Odunze. Then I think DJ Moore is somewhat fair in the 3rd round, but Keenan Allen I think is the name to avoid. But Benjamin says that's a fair take. The injuries to him and Burrow last year aren't being fairly accounted for in his price, in my opinion. Plus he showed he can pop off with limited touches and Browning throwing ducks. He definitely has that upside. He's definitely a spike week type of player. I do prefer him here in best ball than a typical redraft league because he was so up and down, kind of difficult to predict last year. Like, unless Jamar Chase got injured and was not on the field, you were never like excited and like convinced you were getting a good week going into Sunday when you were starting T. Higgins last season. So yeah, it's really, the price is only justified because wide receiver is so expensive on Underdog. But when I can get an elite tight end, if I can get Pacheco even above him, I think that's a safer investment. And normally I would not be passing on Jalen Hurts for T. Higgins. It seems like 4 teams would have rather passed on Hurts then take him. Does Hurts go to the Devontae Smith team? No, he goes to the Barkley team. The team with A.J. Brown even passed on Hurts. That's curious, to say the least. But Kelsey has historically been super valuable, so it is fine. Not going to fault them. Yeah, receivers just so ugly already. We're looking at Keon Coleman, Jamison Williams. And I just think those are bad round 7 picks. I'd much rather be taking running back here in round 7. And if I was going with my rankings, I would have Zach Moss ranked the highest, but we can probably get him in round 8 if that's going to be our approach. So I will not be taking Zach Moss. I have a few players in the same tier. I have Aaron Jones ranked just a few spots behind him. I also have James Conner ranked behind him. But there's some players I haven't been like super exposed to that I think I should be taking a little bit more. I'm going to grab James Conner. If Conner stays healthy and if somehow he's able to stave off Trey Benson for the entire year, I doubt that's going to happen. I think we'll probably see. Oh, interesting. He went double tight end there. I could go with Kyler, but no, I'm just going to hope for the spike week potential of Aaron Jones. 2 running backs I'm not taking a ton of, but I have back-to-back just outside my top 20 rankings, and I view equally as valuable as David Montgomery. I think guys like Montgomery, Zach Moss, Ramondre Stevenson are more likely to stay healthy. I think there is some injury concerns with James Conner and Aaron Jones, but when they play well, they have 30-plus point upside. There's definitely more appeal on underdog in the best ball setting than there is in redraft when you have to bet on them every single week. And knowing that what they were able to do when they did stay healthy last year was like leaps and bounds above some of these other players. Like James Conner was averaging 15, 16 points per game when healthy last year. If we get 10 plus games out of him again, I'm definitely not going to regret that selection. But I do like Trey Benson a lot. And it's just a matter of how long before Benson is the running back you want in Arizona. But Aaron Jones, when healthy, can definitely pop. I have been drafting a lot of Ty Chandler, but I think I may have overdone it a little bit on Ty Chandler. I need to start, really tackling the Vikings offense with their true RB1. They paid Aaron Jones pretty well. I believe he gets like $7 million per year. And James Conner is still on an $8 million contract. Yeah, Aaron Jones got 1 year, fully guaranteed $7 million. He is 30 years old, though. He will be turning 30 in December, if I am not mistaken. But we have 3 running backs. We can move off that position. We can try to grab good value at quarterback. I'd be comfortable with Jaden Daniels here. I'd be somewhat comfortable with just investing in the Arizona backfield entirely with Trey Benson. But if Jaden Daniels is still on the board, I'd probably get sniped. But if he's still there, I'll probably go Jaden Daniels. What's the deal with Team 12? They went 6 straight receivers, and then they grabbed double tight end with Ferguson, Brock Powers. They don't have a running back yet. So I'll probably grab running back knowing that is the route Team 12 is most likely to take. But no, they pass on Jaden. I think that's just where I'm going to go. Jaden Daniels has the potential to be a league-winning quarterback for fantasy. I don't think he's going to be like the best NFL quarterback ever. I do have the... Hold on, let me focus real quick. I probably need receiver here. I do like Brandon Cooks. There is some potential for Romeo Doubs. And I actually don't have a crazy amount of Doubs. I'm going to go with Doubs, who is not the sexiest pick. There's definitely some concerns with Doubs. But like I was saying with Jaden Reed, like there's so many mouths to feed in this offense, and it's going to be like a week to week basis where one of these guys pops off. And Dobbs did have some high touchdown upside last season. There were some games where Dobbs scored 2 touchdowns in games. Like there was week 1 where he scored 2, and then he was also really good in the playoffs. He played phenomenally well in the playoffs against Dallas. He went off 6 for 6, 151 and a touchdown. Also really good against San Francisco. He actually played the most snaps of any Packers receiver in the actual playoffs. So there's some high upside with him. A few games here with over 70 yards receiving, and he did finish the year with 8 touchdowns in the regular season. A couple games with over 12 targets apiece. I think taking your shot on the Green Bay offense is a wise decision overall, and Dobbs is like the least exposed player I am. I have the least of him of the 4, so I get him at a slight value. He normally goes mid round 9. I get him top of round 10. And with Benson off the board, he's my 5th receiver. I'm comfortable with him in this range. But Dontavian Wicks goes 5 picks later. I think you can also make an argument that Wicks is equally, if not more, valuable. But Christian Watson going in round 7, very likely to get injured. That's what's happened with him every single season that he's played. He's just waiting to get hurt. When it happens, Dobbs will see even more targets. And while Wicks is possibly the most talented, definitely poised for a bit of a breakout, I think Dobbs is the safest option of the 4 when it comes to like their fantasy value, because Jaden Reed going in round 5 is just like, you get Dobbs 5 rounds later. I don't see like a massive gap between the two. Like, we hype up Jaden Reed a lot because of what he did at the end of the season, but that was with Christian Watson injured, and he scored 10 touchdowns. That was the real crux of his fantasy value. And Dobbs is here scoring 8 touchdowns last year. It's not that much different, but you get a 5-round discount. I've been talking myself a little bit more into Dobbs. I just think there's like the least excitement around drafting him of those 4 Packers receivers. But you know they're going to throw the ball. You know they're a really good offense. In best ball, that's where I want him. I don't want him in redraft. Having to decide when to start him, that's not an enticing option at all. So, damn it, I wanted Goff. That's a bummer. But I'll probably grab one of these like tight ends on the way back around. This team already has 2. And I do love me Zach Charbonnet quite a bit. So I'm going to grab Zach Charbonnet. A little bit of risk with these veterans at running back with James Conner, Aaron Jones. There's some high spike week potential, but later on in the season, they might be off the field. And later on in the year, Zach Charbonnet is the type of guy that could have league-winning potential. So that's what happens. I would have really liked Pat Freiermuth there. We don't get him. I could go Dalton Schultz, but maybe I pass. I think I'm going to grab Jahan Dotson to pair up with Jaden Daniels. That's a stack I'm never going to really regret. We can never forget about receiver value. It does kind of fall off a cliff after round 12. Receiver's kind of hard to fill out on your roster the rest of the way. So we have Jaden Daniels. It's a justified pairing. And Jahan Dotson was way better in his rookie season. He scored 7 touchdowns. Last year, he really fell off a cliff. But Curtis Samuel was a big part of that offense. And Curtis Samuel is no longer in Washington. It's a quarterback upgrade for sure. An offense that's going to run a ton of plays. And just based off of last year's ADP, you were getting Dotson in like round 7. Much, much closer to where Terry McLaurin goes. Now McLaurin is a round 4 pick, whereas Dotson is a round 12 selection. I think you're drafting Dotson at his floor. I don't think Dotson is overvalued going around guys like rookies Xavier Legette, Jalen Polk, Ricky Pearsall. I do like Polk. I like his talent a lot. I think Polk is possibly a better pick, but we've never seen him on the field. And it's also the Patriots offense. There's not a lot of touchdowns to be had in New England for the taking. So maybe Dotson is a breakout candidate. Maybe he has a big bounce back year. And with the Jaden Daniels pairing, it's a justified selection. But if you have not done so already, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button for me. If you're watching and you enjoy this live stream, hit that like button as well. Really helps me out in the algorithm. And if you don't want to miss out when we go live in the future, you can ring the notification bell, get updated every time I have new content. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the live chat. While I'm streaming, I'm happy to answer your question. But subscribe for me, hit the like button, and engage with the channel. But we see Leggett, Dalton Schultz, Rico Dowdle, Jalen Polk, Ricky Pearsall, TJ Hawkinson, Marshawn Lloyd, Gabe Davis, Ty Chandler, Jaleel McLaughlin, Jermaine Burton, Cole Kmet, Kendry Miller, Quentin Johnston, Nick Chubb. Coming off the board after our Jahan Dotson pick. We have 6 receivers, 4 running backs, an elite tight end in Laporta. We got sniped on Goff. But we got Jaden Daniels at QB. And I was a bit shocked that Team 12 went with Freiermuth, their 3rd tight end. But sometimes it happens. They have Drake London, so I probably will not be getting Kirk Cousins back around. We don't have any Falcons, though. So I'm just going to grab upside, and we're going to invest in the Miami Dolphins backfield. We're going to grab Jalen Wright, the rookie with true league-winning potential. Tremendous upside for Jalen Wright. But we have Garrett Wilson on this team. Maybe instead of Romeo Doubs, I should have gone like Mike Williams, but here I am looking at Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to take the stack. I don't draft Rodgers a lot, but we have Garrett Wilson. It is definitely justified. And if Garrett Wilson does pay off for us at this ADP, maybe he's a true like league winner, like I was talking about in my rankings. There's actually like top 3 potential for Garrett Wilson this season. He could really be the one you want at receiver. At the end of round 1, he is possibly a league winner. If that happens, then it's because Rodgers stays healthy, and in that scenario, Rodgers is a safe pick in round 14. I just don't ever take him if I don't have Garrett Wilson. I'm just not looking to stack him up. With really anybody else, like maybe Breece Hall is somewhat justified. Now this opens us up for a possible Malachi Corley, Tyler Conklin pick in the next round. And I do kind of prefer Conklin a little bit more than Corley. But both of them are interesting. I think they're both decent values where they're going. So we'll put them into the queue. And with Team 12 already having 3 tight ends, I'll probably pass on Conklin and wait for him to come back around. But we'll see what this is like. Hey, can you see my cat? Yeah, she's in frame. She wants some attention. And she's here on the desk, meowing into the microphone. Hello. I'm gonna say hi. We have 4 more picks on this team. We need a tight end. I think we're possibly done at quarterback. We have 5 receivers. I think I need another 2 more receivers. Hubbard fell to round 15. That's a good value on Chuba Hubbard. I'm going to grab Corley here. Now we're definitely in line for this Rodgers stack, and this team has 3 tight ends. If they take Conklin from me, I'm gonna be pissed. Okay, he doesn't. Yeah, we're setting ourselves up for a triple Jets stack. Let's do it. If this team really works out with these investments, then that means Rodgers is going to pay off at this ADP, and that means I'm just done at QB. We're sticking with a 2 quarterback, 2 tight end build, and we'll just grab a little bit of a diversification in the next 2 rounds at running back, wide receiver. But Mike King says, bro, I never subscribed to you guys. Why am I getting your notifications? Well, given I have subscribers mode only on in terms of chatting, it sounds like you just did subscribe. Maybe you maybe you ring the bell by accident. I don't know, but you do you, man. Maybe it's the universe telling you should be subscribed and you should be watching. That's probably what it is. Dark Side Dev, nice running backs. I feel good with this quintet. Definitely high upside with the backups in Charbonnet and Wright. If James Conner, Aaron Jones do stay healthy, there's definitely some high upside with them. And then obviously Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 running back. I like this running back core quite a bit. Maybe this is the year where Dave Montgomery gets hurt and Jahmyr Gibbs, like in week 5, becomes a stud RB, getting like 25 touches per game. That would be phenomenal. Let me see the receivers. Here they are, my friend. We got Garrett Wilson in round 1. We took Michael Pittman round 3. We took Chris Godwin, Rome Odunze at the 5-6 turn. We grabbed Romeo Doubs in round 10, I believe. Yeah, it was round 10. And then we took Jahan Dotson in the 12th. And in the 16th, we took Malachi Corley. We have 7 receivers. 2 tight ends, Sam Laporta, Tyler Conklin. And we're rolling with a minor commander stack in Jaden Daniels, Jahan Dotson. And then we have a quadruple group of Jets in Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley, Tyler Conklin. We are rolling with the Jets and Commanders on this squad. Okay, I've mentioned in the past I like Tyler Boyd in this at the end of the draft here. I think there is some target volume available for Boyd, most likely. And then I've also spoken to how I like Dylan Laube a lot in this range as well. So I'm definitely going to go with Tyler Boyd. The team at 12 only has 6 receivers. I think they will go receiver. I can talk myself into Darius Slayton sometimes. Odell, I only take if I have Tua. There might be some value in New England with guys like Kendrick Bourne or possibly KJ Osborne. I have actually started to mix in KJ Osborne a little bit. But we have 8 receivers. I feel pretty good about who I've got. I think I'm going to grab another running back just because the old vets in Connor and Jones do scare me a little bit. They could both go down, most likely for at least like 3-4 games with injury. So that's our team. We have 2 quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, Aaron Rodgers, both of them stacked up. Jaden with Jahan Dotson and Rodgers with a bunch of guys in the Jets offense. At running back, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, James Conner, Aaron Jones, Zach Charbonnet, Jalen Wright, Dylan Laube, high upside with these handcuffs. And at receiver, we got Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman, Chris Godwin, Rome Odunze, Romeo Doubs, Jahan Dotson, Malachi Corley, and Tyler Boyd. Tight end, living pretty with Sam Laporta and a high floor with Conklin. If Conklin scores 8+ touchdowns, we are in tremendous business. But you get KJ Osborne since pre-draft. Yeah, I actually took him a lot before he signed with the Patriots, and then I moved off of him. Now there's actually some potential news. He is going to be a big factor in that offense. But we've only been streaming for 38 minutes, and given that fact, I'm going to fire up another draft, my friends. If you want to stick around with me, Let's do one more. We're hopping into a fast puppy. And if you want to join, if you're ready to go, I'm on a 6-second delay. Hit the button right now, and I will join in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. We have 7 spots open. Let's skip that ad break for y'all. 6 spots in this fast puppy draft. Right? I hit the fast one, right? Yeah, we're in the fast one. 20-second pick clock, second draft of the stream. We started the stream a little bit early. Normally I do them at like 5 p.m., but I'm a little bit busy later on. We got pick 9. I was hoping for a higher pick, but it's okay. We're all right. My cat is going like berserk right now, and I think she wants like a little treat. I'm just gonna feed my cat with little treats, some treats right now. I'll be right back. There it goes. Don't know if you could see her like leap from the fridge there to the little outpost she's got. Can you even see her in the frame? Let's see. She's right there. Fed her on the ledge there. But let's get back to this draft. Ooh, Darkside Dev in the 7 spot at Dav UHN. Excited to see you here, man. I'll try not to snipe you too much. Hopefully you don't snipe me. I might be a little quiet on some of the picks when I know you are in the stream in this lobby on those turns. But excited to see you in the draft, man. Good luck. Goes AJ Brown. That's who I wanted, man. That's okay. We're gonna get one of these running backs, and I do have Breece Hall above Bijan Robinson. I'm perfectly happy to go with Breece Hall. So we went with Garrett Wilson in the last draft. We go with the other Jets elite option in terms of Breece Hall, and at pick 9, I am comfortable with that. You can't call that a snipe. No, it is what it is. I'm very comfortable with Breece. I just didn't expect the running backs to be on the board. I assumed you would have probably taken a running back there. But take who you want. Not upset about it. But since we went Breece, I have to go with a receiver, and I'm going to go with my highest ranked guy. I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk. We took receiver, then running back last time around. In round 1 and 2, we go running back and receiver. We take Ayuk. Here, my wide receiver 9 this year. If he gets traded to the Commanders, I'm going to be screwed for this pick. But assuming that doesn't happen, I think he is justified as a top 10 receiver. But we fired up another draft, everyone. If you have not done so already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. And as always, if you have any questions, hit me up in the chat. I'll be happy to answer your comments and questions during the stream. But you go Taylor at pick 18, paired with A.J. Brown. And I cannot fault you for that. Taylor's definitely a really good pick. What does the cat want? What do you want? You're like upset about something. What is it? What is it? I don't speak your language. I don't know what you're saying. Hi. I wish I could give you exactly what you want, but I gave you some food, and you still seem upset. There's water. There's everything you need. Okay. Any good receiver values? Dav is on the clock. And he goes DJ Moore. I expect to be sniped here. I think Cooper Kupp is the last player in the tier I want. And I'd be ecstatic to get him, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Yep, Cooper Kupp gets taken. So we went with Michael Pittman on the last team. I think I'm just going to go with Tank Dell. I do prefer Tank Dell over Stefon Diggs. Just barely. I think they should be going back to back. And I could be wrong about this pick, but I am willing to gamble on it. My convictions say Tank Dell is the better bet in the Texans offense than Stefon Diggs. So that's our team so far. Breece Hall, Brandon Ayuk, Tank Dell in the first 3 rounds. Michael Pittman, Diggs, T. Higgins at pick 12. Christian Kirk. Okay, Team 12 has a unique approach. Not too many teams have both T. Higgins and Christian Kirk. Not bad. Boy, I kind of want to go with an elite tight end here, but we're a bit behind the 8 ball in terms of elite receiver, and it is really ugly coming back around. I'm going to go George Pickens with no tight ends off the board. Maybe, just maybe, we see a guy like Dalton Kincaid fall to us in the 5th at pick 57. I'm really not expecting that to happen, but it does happen occasionally. And I think I just need a better safety net at receiver because our number 1 guy is Brandon Ayuk. Our number 2 guy is Tank Dell, also not the safest bet, kind of a boom bust option. I would have rather gone with like an elite tight end there because I know you can't really, it's unlikely to get one coming back around. But I think that's kind of like the problem with going running back in round 1. You don't feel super confident about your wide receiver room to the point where, like me, you kind of feel stuck going with a guy like George Pickens, who I think is the last guy in this tier. Everyone that went off the board after Cooper Kupp, Tank Dell, all the way through George Pickens, I actually have in the same tier. I view pretty much the same. I think Christian Kirk is actually a little overvalued here. But he's basically in the same realm. Christian Kirk is just much more of a floor play. Safe option. Great flex play in like redraft, but I think there's definitely more upside in best ball with guys like George Pickens, Amari Cooper, and even T. Higgins. So we go with Pickens. And we could maybe get Kincaid. I would love Kincaid. But McBride is also still on the board. And there's 3 teams without a tight end before our pick. Okay, we would need McBride to really fall. And pick 7 is Dev. So given how I'm talking about him, I highly doubt I get McBride. But if you want to be nice, pal, if you want to do me a solid, I would appreciate it. Yo. Don't know if that's just not who you want, but I am ecstatic here. Trey McBride, pick 57. Let's go. Hell yes. Never take elite tight end. I love it, man. Thank you. Thank you for passing on him. I understand not grabbing a receiver here. Receiver sucks. That's why I do feel comfortable with tight end in round 5. Um, I prefer Andrews. I prefer Kincaid over McBride. I think McBride does go a little bit high, but in the fifth with receiver options like what we're seeing, I am comfortable with McBride. Josh Jacobs for free. I think it's fair. Yeah, that's a fair decision. If you want Josh Jacobs, if you like him, go ahead and take him. But I am very happy to go with McBride. If McBride was not on the board and Jacobs was at my pick, I would have gone with McBride. But we go with Chris Godwin in the last draft. I'm going to take Jordan Addison. We do have Tank Dell, but I am not going to grab CJ Stroud. The team with Nico Collins already has Anthony Richardson, and I know Stefon Diggs is on this side of the board. Let's take a gamble that CJ Stroud falls to pick 81. If that happens, I will be super happy, but I would not bet on it. I would think at pick 80, team 8 who does not have a quarterback, even though they don't have a Texans receiver, would probably just take him. But that's asking for a lot. I've seen it happen where he falls to pick like 78, 79. The latest I've ever seen Stroud go is pick 80. Maybe today's the day. But so far, I feel really competitive with our roster through the first 6 rounds. We got Breece Hall, my number 2 running back this season. And if anything were to happen to Christian McCaffrey, then Breece Hall, I think, would be the RB1. I think even if McCaffrey does stay healthy, there's a chance that Breece Hall finishes as the RB1. He is no longer coming off an ACL. He was fantastic at the end of last season. He has the potential to catch 100 receptions, at least see 100 targets. That's definitely in the range of outcomes. And maybe, just maybe, he is the RB1 this year, all on his own, without any help from an injured McCaffrey. But we have Ayuk, Tank Dell, George Pickens, Jordan Addison, some high upside at receiver. And then we got Trey McBride, 10 picks past ADP, I guess 11 technically. We got a real good value. I feel very good about this team and its chances to compete at a high level. But so far, we're at pick 78, and CJ Stroud does go off the board to the team with Nico Collins. They also have Richardson doubled up on week 14 buys. That's okay. It is what it is. We see JSN go off the board, so receiver not looking good, but I have Kamara ranked the highest. I view him in actually the same tier as guys like Josh Jacobs and James Cook, who are going 2 rounds higher. So he falls a little bit for us here to take him at 81. I will grab Kamara as our RB2. If he can stay healthy, he's going to see a massive, massive share of targets and will catch probably like 5-6 receptions per game, just like he did last season. They don't have Michael Thomas anymore. There's also some injury concerns with Juwan Johnson. He had foot surgery, may not be ready for week 1. And Olave, Rashid Shahi are the only other competition for targets other than a guy like Taysom Hill. But maybe Taysom Hill steals some touches in the red zone, especially again. Maybe Kendry Miller's a bigger factor, but I feel like Kamara has one last year of high production in him. And at the very least, he's getting a massive target share. We're getting a ton of receptions from our 2 running backs, Breece Hall and Kamara. So I like this team. If you like it as well, hit that like button just down below. I'm actually going to go with a bit of a bully tight end approach, but I don't normally do this. I think the first one you can justify taking as your tight end 2 is Jake Ferguson. I think if you go with anyone in round 7 or higher as your tight end 2, it's a little bit too high of a reach. I think there's a clear tier break once you get past Evan Ingram, though. And Ferguson's one of the last guys I'm comfortable with as my tight end 1 to remain competitive. But if he is my tight end 2, I'm definitely in like fantastic shape. So we're going to be done at the position. We're going to have more of a unique approach. Definitely the most competitive tight end room in this lobby. And I feel good about my running backs. I feel pretty competitive at receiver so far. And I did not have a Bengal to justify Joe Burrow there. So I don't do this a lot, but it is a way to get unique. They don't have the same bye. I took Jake Ferguson, and our tight end room is fantastic. But I may regret that when this draft is all said and done. I'm trying it out. I'm going a little bit against the grain. Let's see what happens. But a reminder of our team at running back, we have Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara. Receiver, Brandon Ayuk, Tank Dell, George Pickens, Jordan Addison. Especially early on in the year when TJ Hawkinson is on IR, I think Jordan Addison is going to see a lot of volume, going to put up similar numbers to what we saw last season. And I am actually a believer in Sam Darnold to the point where I do not think Addison is overvalued at all in round 6, going outside the top 30 receivers. I think is a justified pick, especially here in best ball. But coming back around, we're probably looking at running back. If not, no, we're probably looking at receiver now that I think about it. But we have Ferguson. We could go Dak Prescott. We'll see what this team does. Yeah, I'm most likely going Dak with Ferguson. And then I'll probably grab like Brandon Cooks on the way back. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Give me Dak. I've got 2 good running backs. I think I can ignore the position for a little bit. But this is definitely lining up well. As long as I don't get sniped, we will be going Brandon Cooks at pick 112. And if that happens, I feel like I definitely have a good competitive team. But we see Tony Pollard, Javonte Williams go off the board. 2 of my least favorite picks. I am literally never drafting Javonte and Pollard in the 9th round. I have not taken Pollard once since after the NFL draft. Since he went to the Titans, I am not taking him at all. I have been going with Tyjae Spears as the investment in this backfield if I invest in the Titans backfield at all. And I swear to you, I have never once taken Tony Pollard since April. But Javonte, I wish I could say the same. I actually have taken Javonte Williams once. The only thing is, I remember very specifically when it happened, he fell to me at pick 121. I took him at the 10-11 turn, and I didn't really want to do it, but because of the value, I decided to say fuck it. That is the only time I have ever drafted Javonte Williams this offseason. But Dev wanted Njoku. He does not get him. Njoku goes at pick 12, pick 109 to team 12. Does not come back around. But yeah, that was a bit of a gamble there. Njoku, I very rarely see fall past pick 110. I do love Jaden Daniels. I think he's a great round 9 quarterback. But you did already have Jalen Hurts. A bit of a luxury pick there. Anyways, a reminder of our team. In round 1, we go Breece Hall, pick 9. Then we go Brandon Ayuk, Tank Dell, George Pickens. We got a really good value on Trey McBride. Then Jordan Addison in the 6th. Alvin Kamara fell to us at pick 81. Then we go with 3 Cowboys in Jake Ferguson, Dak Prescott, Brandon Cooks, And that is our triple stack in, or I guess a double stack. Yeah, double stack in this draft. But thought he was about to slide. A lot of people took tight ends. I don't know if Team 12 took one. Maybe Team 12. Oh, yeah, Team 12 just doubled up. Not a bad strategy there. Oh, yeah. Every team did have a tight end. I think you made a justified gamble. It just didn't work out. Bummer. But we may go with... Oh, wow. QBs are falling. Rumpelstiltskin doesn't have a Niner. I do not have a Bear, so I would much rather get Brock Purdy. And we get Brock Purdy at an insane value. Pick 129, 16 picks past ADP. I'm locked up with these two quarterbacks. I have my two tight ends. We are a little bit behind in terms of overall depth at running back, but our two guys are really good in Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara. We have 5 receivers, and it's strictly running back, wide receiver the rest of the way. For this team, I feel very good about it. If I can somehow get Jerome Ford to fall to me, I would be ecstatic. But Team 11 goes with Nick Chubb, and if they're smart, they would probably double up and grab both of them. No, Team 12 grabs Jerome Ford. That's okay. But I think I'll just grab one of the Cowboys running backs, and Zeke goes off the board. So we're going to be looking at Rico Dowdle. I think that's the move here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hope and pray that Rico Dowdle is actually the running back you want in Dallas, but I think both of them are kind of a little undervalued. I think in round 12, you're drafting them kind of at their floor here. All of the other starters have come off the board at the position, and I can't tell you with like massive confidence which of the two running backs in Dallas you actually want. I think that's the reason why the two of them are still here on the board in round 12, but definitely a lot less touches, a lot more youth on the side of Rico Dowdle, definitely more explosiveness, and maybe he has a Tony Pollard-esque role here where as the number 2 punch of this 1-2 combo, maybe Dowdle's actually the guy you want. I don't have like massive conviction on Rico, but let's pull up his player profiler page real quick. 5'11", 213, runs a 4.54, and nothing crazy in terms of production. What did he do in college? I gotta scroll down. In college, he was a okay pass catcher. Nothing elite in terms of the run game. But we have a lot of Cowboys, and I do think it's justified. Dev says he gets both when he can. I think Dowdle's a great value. I think he's a fair value. He has the potential to be an elite value. That's definitely for a possibility. Like, he's probably going to be more valuable on a weekly basis than guys like Blake Corum, Trey Benson, Chase Brown. Definitely Nick Chubb to start the season. It's just a question of what does this Cowboys offense really offer you at the running back position? Because last year, Pollard didn't really do anything, was a big letdown in terms of touchdowns. And that's my concern. Maybe touchdowns are like a really lacking factor for this backfield. But at the very least, we have a decent floor there. And I've got such good other weapons at the position. I don't need him to really be a lights out contributor in my roster to, pay off. So let's hope for the best. But I'm going to go Jermaine Burton here. I think definitely the highest upside receiver in this range. Maybe Thielen can reclaim the value he gave you last year, but I doubt it given the other investments that they've made at receiver in Carolina. And we only had 5 receivers up to this point. I think I needed another one. We go Jermaine Burton, who had a really good year in Alabama in college, and a 20-yard A dot definitely offers some elite upside. That's one reason why I don't love T. Higgins as well. We mentioned my tepid hesitation on T. Higgins at the top of the video about a half hour plus ago, but Jermaine Burton's going so much later. High talent, 3rd round pick, but fell because of off the field issues, some character question marks. And if he works out, it's definitely going to be good. But I'm going to go Chuba Hubbard. I think in terms of the handcuffs here, you actually know you're getting some production from Chuba Hubbard. And maybe Rico Dowdle has a bit of a slow start. Chuba Hubbard should be very involved in at least the month of September. If there's a setback to Jonathan Brooks, or he simply just doesn't, quite pay off, then Hubbard could maintain value later into the season. And while he's probably an afterthought in December, I think I'm just going to lean on, my guys, Breece Hall, Kamara, and Dowdle a little bit more at the end. But Hubbard, one of my favorite picks at running back in round 14. So this is a very good team. I'm ecstatic about this roster, honestly. Breece Hall, Kamara, Dowdle, and Chuba Hubbard at running back. Because I have Breece Hall, I'm fine with a bit of lack of depth. But at receiver, we have Ayuk, Tank Dell, George Pickens, Jordan Addison, Brandon Cooks, Jermaine Burton. At tight end, we are living. We have Trey McBride and Jake Ferguson. And at quarterback, we have Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy. Dak is stacked up with Ferguson and Brandon Cooks. Purdy is stacked up with Ayuk. We've got 4 more picks, and we're locked into running back, wide receiver. Let's fucking go. But Dev, since you're in the chat, you're in the draft lobby with me, I'll take a look at your team when it's all said and done. I'll give you a bit of a grade. I'll give you my thoughts on it, what I think of your team as we get to the end here. I take a lot of Demarcus Robinson this late. There are not many receivers I feel confident in, and Demarcus is one of the few that is going to see a lot of snaps on the field. A lot of 3 wide receiver sets. Hard to replicate his value. I still think he's going too late. And we get him 7 picks past ADP as well. So I go Demarcus Robinson, and I'm hoping that coming back around, Team 12, I hope they double up on quarterback and maybe leave us Elijah Mitchell. I've taken a lot of Isaac Guerendo, but in the same logic, Mitchell would have elite value if he is indeed the handcuff to own. I didn't love his tape last year. I thought he was kind of falling off a little bit, but we have Brock Purdy. It does kind of align. And obviously, if he is indeed the RB2 in this offense, as the reports are suggesting, he gets sniped, though. We cannot take him. Kind of a bummer. That team had 6 running backs already. Weird. That's okay. Irving is interesting, but not a lot of paths to pay off, whereas CEH I know is a clear handcuff option in a very shallow depth chart in Kansas City. So we take him a little bit high in terms of ADP, but I don't really care. We have 2 more picks, and he was going to be one of them. So we grab CEH. Our 5th running back Yeah, if Pacheco ever goes down, CEH averaged 13 points per game last season in 2 starts, and that's definitely top 20 value when he is in the lineup. And you never know, maybe he actually has a bit of a weekly role. I don't see it being that significant, but he can always fall into the end zone in the Chiefs offense. Mahomes spreads it around like crazy, and people are definitely forgetting about him. CH is definitely a bit of an afterthought in terms of the priority list for the defense. And CEH actually had some big blow up games last year. I feel like maybe it was 2 years ago. I could be mistaken, but I feel like he caught some touchdowns early in the year. No, I'm thinking of 2 years ago. He scored a touchdown week 3, 55 yards and a touchdown. I don't know if you can hear that. My cat's back on the table. Here she is. Hey. Anyways, what we're really looking for are these weeks where he filled in for Pacheco, the 2 starts, 38 rushing yards per game, as well as 46.5 receiving yards per game. He also scored a touchdown. That's what we're hoping for with CEH, the contingent upside if Pacheco goes down. But we're going to be back on the clock real soon. And there's not many players I like left on the board. I do like me some Tyler Boyd. And receivers really ugly. We have no idea who the receiver 3 in Dallas is. And the receiver 3 in San Francisco is a hard bet to make as well. I'm going to go Boyd, who remains with the same offensive coordinator, moving from Cincinnati to Tennessee. And I think will be on the field quite a bit. I do expect a lot of 3 receiver sets for the Titans this year. Definitely a pass-first offense. And who knows, maybe Hopkins at his age goes down. Maybe Ridley struggles to really acclimate to this offense. Maybe doesn't pay off. We waited till round 2 to grab our first receiver. Now we have 8 of them. And maybe I go with 9, but we waited a long time for our third running back. I think I'm going to grab 6 running backs on this build. I think that's a little more valuable for me. We took Lauby in the last draft. You know, I'm a fan of Lauby. I think he will have a role. I think you can make an argument for Tyrone Tracy, but in the tournament, I kind of want to go with a name that's less rostered in terms of overall in the tournament. And when you grab someone with an ADP after 215, the percentage of ownership is way less than a guy like Tyrone Tracy. So I am just going to stick with my gut. I've been wanting to expose myself more to Lauby. We took him in the last draft, but I think that's just a sign that I really think he is a good pick in the 18th round because of his pass catching ability in Vegas, where Zamir White doesn't really offer that too much. So this is our team. Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy at QB, and Dak is paired up with Rico Dowdle. Maybe that works out. I don't expect much there, but we have Brandon Cooks and Jake Ferguson. That's really the stack that I wanted. I have Brock Purdy stacked up with Brandon Ayuk. My other receivers are Tank Dell, George Pickens, Addison Cooks, as I mentioned, Jermaine Burton, Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Boyd. Tight end is stacked with Trey McBride, Jake Ferguson. And then running back, we have Breece Hall, Kamara, Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard, CEH, and Dylan Lauby. But let me take a look at your squad, Dev, since you did join me for this stream. I'm just going to let the thing time out just so I won't have the thing the screen is about to change real fast. So just give me a moment. But for anyone who has not done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And we live stream at least 3 times a week here on the channel. But where were we drafting? We did the Fast Puppy. And we're looking for Dev's squad. Let me move my face. Let me get rid of this. And okay, here it is. So you have a 2-5-8-3 build. Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels. At QB, that's definitely some high upside. Definitely a lot of rushing value and has the potential to break fantasy football. Definitely a good pairing. Jalen Hurts is stacked up with A.J. Brown, but it does not appear that Jaden Daniels is stacked up with anyone. I think that's fine. I think Jaden Daniels is absolutely a quarterback you don't need to stack up. You're drafting him for the rushing value, hoping for some spike weeks where he puts up over 100 rushing yards in any given game. And after what he did at LSU, that's definitely possible. He's not a stack necessary QB, that's for sure. At running back, you do have some really good options. You got Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Zach Moss. I am a big fan of Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss this year. I think they're both really good values. You got Taylor at 18, Moss in round 8, really good pick. And you took Josh Jacobs at 55, which is definitely, I think, a bust-proof selection. I do think Marshawn Lloyd will be involved a little bit, but based on the tier I have him ranked, I think that's a good pick. And I also really appreciate it because you let me have Trey McBride a couple picks later. But I also love the investment in the Chargers backfield. Their offensive line is going to be so much more improved. And I think with some concerns about Gus Edwards' health and the lack of like true workhorse ability, I think Kimani Vidal does offer like the most upside in terms of other weapons in that backfield. I love your running back room. Running back room, quarterback room, really, really good. Very high potential in this format. At receiver, you have A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jerry Jeudy, Josh Downs, Michael Wilson, Malik Washington. So after JSN, it does kind of drop off a little bit. Personally, I'm not a believer in Jerry Jeudy. I have been in the past, and he's just burned me so much that Judy's actually another player I have never drafted at all this offseason. I'm also really worried about what Deshaun Watson's going to do. He came off the field a lot, and their backup quarterback situation is not as good this year. It's Jameis Winston, not Joe Flacco. So Jeudy does scare me, honestly. I think that's kind of a risky option as your wide receiver 5, but you do have 8 of them, and Josh Downs, I think, is a decent value. You got him past ADP. Michael Wilson, I think, is a good value going how late that he's off the board, but obviously not like an obvious contributor on a weekly basis. You're just hoping for touchdowns. And then Malik Washington, that I think is a big gamble there. I was really high on him before the draft, and then he went to Miami, and now I'm like really hard pressed to believe he has like early value. Like just so much of their volume goes to the running back position. Tyreek Hill and Waddle get almost all the targets. Now they added Jonnu Smith, who you also drafted, and OBJ. I have a hard time believing Malik is going to be like heavy contributor, but he was so good in college. Last year, he led all of college football in total receptions with over 100, and that's better than what Rome put up, better than Marvin Harrison. So I like his talent a lot. I'm just really worried about the volume headed his way as a rookie for the Dolphins. But at tight end, you gambled on Njoku. It didn't work out. You have Noah Fant, Jonnu Smith, and Colby Parkinson. And there's a lot of upside with Parkinson and Fant. Jonnu scares me a little bit as well. Tight end room is definitely the weakest of the bunch. Receiver, the depth scares me just a little bit, but I do think you have decent options at the top. Let me just look at the board real quick. You were at pick 7. And I think if you really don't like going with elite tight end, then I understand your Jacobs pick, but I think that's probably the only thing I would have changed early on. Personally, it's just so hard to replicate tight end, and we saw what ended up happening. Your tight end 1 is Noah Fant, so you had to punt the position. I think this team would look a little bit better if Trey McBride was on it, but it's not like the end of the world at all. I think that is maybe another route you could have taken. Otherwise, I feel like, obviously it's hindsight and it's 2020. We have no idea what would have happened in the moment. But I think this Jaden Daniels selection was, I think, the decision I would have changed, especially given how Caleb Williams fell all the way to round 12. Like, obviously, you didn't know that when it happened, but imagine if you took Caleb Williams stacked up with Rome and DJ Moore on this squad. I think that would be a little bit of a better approach for the tournament. It's not like it's terrible, but when you have two Bears receivers, and in hindsight, you could have gotten Caleb at as late as pick 138, like, I think that's a different approach you could have taken. Like, that's the only thing I think I wish I could have changed if I was like going back in a time machine and redrafting this team. Because, like, if you had Caleb Williams, Tyjae Spears, hypothetically, and Trey McBride instead of Josh Jacobs, Jaden Daniels, and Jerry Jeudy, I think this team might look a little bit better. But I think we'll get slot work. He's a long-term bet, and that's the gamble you made on Jeudy. That's fair. I mean, I could definitely be wrong. Jeudy has potential. They gave him a big contract. I just don't really like feel confident in the Browns passing offense after last year, what we saw from Deshaun Watson. But it could definitely revitalize itself, and I could definitely be wrong. But it was bye week thing. That's why I went Daniels. Oh, does Caleb have the same bye as Jalen Hurts? That feels like it might be the case. But I like Daniels' fantasy upside more than Caleb also. I agree with you. I do think Daniels will actually finish the season with more fantasy points. I do think he should be going earlier. It's strictly for the stack. That's really the only reason I have for telling you that. So if that's what you wanted to do, obviously, man, it's your team. You have every right to do it. I would give this team like a B+. There are a couple picks I think could have made it a little bit better for the best ball setting, but definitely a very competitive one and a good team overall. So, yeah, thanks a lot for joining me, man. Hope you had fun. Hope everyone watching had fun. And that's going to be it for this video. We did 2 drafts. And if you have not done so already, subscribe. We go live at least 3 times a week. Maybe I'll go live again over the weekend. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are my live streaming schedules, and you'll definitely see me at the latest on the live stream again on Monday. But you can check out the channel for rankings at the running back position. I have my top 30 out in 3 different videos, and I've got my top 10 wide receivers. Look for top 20 and top 30 receivers out next week, and we are rolling to the season. So subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. Thank you all for watching Nice and Blunt. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.